Hello and welcome back to Luke-N-SHAE'S place. I hope you guys are having a great weekend. And I am going to do Sunday stories and inspiration with me, Shay. I haven't done it in a while, and I apologize, but I figured from time to time I'll be posting a Sunday story or giving some inspiration just to reach out to you guys to make sure you're doing okay and just to add a little value, a little inspiration to the start of your week. And again, maybe not every Sunday, but Lord willing, when I have something for you guys, and sometimes it'll just pop in my head, and you know what? It could be something that's relating to different things going on, but I wanted to take time and share some inspiration with you today. And also, before I begin, please, if you like the content that we're sharing, please because that helps us get our podcast booming. It helps us to get people to view us and to grow our podcast. And also, don't forget to comment. We like to have your feedback, like to see your comments, and we will reply back to you. So your comments are important to us. And also subscribe. It's 100% free, and it gives you notifications when you click that bell when we'll be posting. So don't forget to click that bell. So again, Sunday stories and inspiration with me today. And before I begin, I would like to say in Georgia, there was a bad storm, and I'm just grateful that my family here is doing fine. We actually had a bad storm yesterday, and from what I'm hearing, there was some fatalities here in Georgia. So I just want to say my condolences to those families and the people who lost loved ones. And I'm just praying for everyone right now. And also, with everything that's going on, just brought to my attention that there was another plane crash the other day. This one was, I believe, in Greenville, North Carolina. So definitely having just heartfelt, just saying sorry for your losses, for all that, because at the end of the day, it's when you think about the plane crashes, there's been so many of them, and that's not something that you would hear about all the time. That's not something we would hear in the news. It would be years and years before you would hear a plane crash. So to have them back to back, all I have to say is stay prayed up and open your eyes, because this is just not normal. It's not. So, but I wanted to share inspiration with you guys today. And I wanted to talk about, just have a little discussion with you guys about, I don't know if you've ever experienced this, you ever been around people where in your life you start to open your eyes to want to change, to do better for yourself, to want to step into a different path, step into positivity, or even if you're gaining knowledge and you're getting understanding about who you are, about things in life. And have you ever experienced the people that seem to be so triggered when you are changing, when you are changing into that positive person? You're no longer doing those things that you did back in the day. Have you ever experienced the people that when you have your own opinion, they try to shut your voice up? When you have your own opinion about different things, it could be anything. It could be especially politics. You start to see who people really are. You start to see, and my mom used to say to me, everybody's not your friend, and time will tell. Time will tell over the years, and it might be right away, and it might take years before you know who is actually in your corner, who are the people that are actually cheering for you, and who are the people just hoping for your demise. Well, that's what I wanted to discuss with you guys, because with everything that's going on and different people in life trying to make change, I know for myself, I've had different incidences where just wanting to just let all the past stuff go, whether it be places you've been and different things you've done in life. And I've had people in my life, hey, remember when? You know, those people that they always have to say, remember when. It's like they can't let that past life, hey, remember we used to go here. Remember we used to go there. And that's great we can sit and reminisce about different things we did and joke about different things. But the people who stay there with that mindset of the remember when, and it's negative, and they see that you are not that person, sometimes you have to just tell them, look, that's not me anymore. I know you want to talk about that person. Hey, I can talk about it because that's my testimony. I can share things and share why that wasn't right. Or I can share why, wow, I can't believe that's who I was back then. But, that's your testimony today. And some people can't embrace that as your testimony because they love to see that. They love to see you destroying yourself, basically, because that's all it was. You're destroying yourself. If it wasn't something positive, if you weren't doing something to bring value to yourself and others around you, and they loved it, those are the people that were rooting for you for your total destruction. So I like to share different things about that because I know I've had so-called friends in my life who, and you start to see, as my mother would say, time will tell, right? So when you have your own opinions, and like I said, I like to talk and bring up politics because that's a big one. You start to see who people really are when you have your own mindset of who you chose to put in office, who you voted for, or your talking points on why you didn't choose a certain party, or why you moved from a party that you've been with and went to another one. And when you start to have talking points and you have your own opinion, you have some people who it's like they want you to be in, oh, no, that's not right. And you can have your own opinion. I can have mine. And at the end of the day, we come together and we're just different people. But when you start to push that whole you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong kind of thing, and you have that cult like mindset, because there's a lot of people today, and I'm not even just saying for just one party, you have people that are almost idolizing. It's kind of sickening when you see, especially on the internet, you see people's comments. I know I do content here with Luke, and some of our videos might be a little controversial. We do reaction videos, and it might not even be a video that Luke and I are having a discussion or we put out on our own. We're discussing someone else's content. And I know on different platforms that we'll post reels to try to get our video out there so that people could come check out the full video on YouTube. And you'll be surprised at some of the comments that people make with some of the controversial. And we actually post, hey, this is a reaction video. And I just had one the other day, and it was funny because the talking points from the video was actually from a Caucasian man, right? And we did a reaction video to it. And the hate that came, not saying from all the comments, but a lot of the comments where they're like, oh, you guys are putting out hate, you're putting out this. And I looked at the comments and I'm like, actually, this was a reaction video to someone with the same skin color as you. He made those comments, and we were asking, hey, how do people feel about his comments? That was coming from a Caucasian man. So you can't always assume that just because someone is a certain race that, hey, this is their viewpoints. Not saying that it wasn't, but he said it came out of his mouth. So it's funny how the apologies, oh, sorry, I was just saying some of the content people put out here is this. Then all of a sudden, their little racy marks changed when they realized. I say, hey, why don't you go check out the real video and see who actually made those comments? And it's funny how the whole tone changed with some of those people. But you already showed me who you were. Your first comments and your first initial reaction to what you assumed showed me who you were. And that's basically what I wanted to talk about too, because even with friendships, sadly, I'm starting to see just had a birthday that passed, and I'm seeing, you start to see things over the years, and you're used to certain people reaching out to you. You're used to certain friends and family members and whoever. You're used to having conversations. Hey, happy birthday, this, that, and that. And I'm realizing this year, and the difference is I used to actually give a darn if someone didn't say hi Shantae, happy birthday, or hi, or reach out to me. But this year was different because for the last several years I've been praying to God to open my eyes to truths. Let me see, Father, who are the people that are actually for me. They're cheering for me. Show me the people who are against me, Father. Show me the people that I shouldn't be around. And more he opens my eyes to that, and I see that. And it's sad that it's always around election time. It's always around that time where I can voice things, I can have my opinion, but I start to see people unfriending me. I start to see no conversation with people, and I preference these are people that are supposed to be godly people, the people that I'm referring to. Some of my friends that are in church and doing things. And I look at that and I'm like, wow, I haven't heard from so-and-so. But the difference is this year I smiled and I said, thank you, God, because you're still showing me who are the people that are actually for me, who are the people that are cheering me on. And there's another saying, sometimes you meet people for a reason. Some people are a lesson. Some people are blessing. You meet people for a reason and you meet people for a season. Okay, you have some lessons and you have blessings. And I can just look up to God and say, you know what, that person was a lesson. I don't no longer look at it as, oh, I wasted so much time in friendships or relationships with people, because now I realize everybody is not in your corner. Okay, when you start to see people get triggered by your change, that should be eye-opening, especially if they see that you're bettering yourself. That should not be something that someone would act like you're insulting them because of your change. How dare you act insulted because I want to walk straight? I want to get to the prize, because this right here is not my home. At the end of the day, I'm passing through. And if I can add value to someone's life, great. I would love to do that. God, use me. And if you're a person that feels triggered that I'm trying to do that, then so be it. All I can do is pray for you. I no longer will sit and be upset. I didn't hear from this person. And I'm talking to some of these people I've known for years, over 20 years. And when I sit and I look at that, I'm like, wow, okay, that cult-like mindset. Because when you think about the different things, and again, I've preferenced this in several videos already. I had a choice of who I was voting for, and I voted. And the thing about me voting, I picked who I thought aligned more with my Bible. And with that being said, doing so, I thought, okay, so be it. This is my decision, my choice. It's my right to vote for whoever I thought. And just in having conversations with friends and people, some of their talking points might have swayed my decision too, because I'm like, okay, well, they're saying this over here, okay, this policy over here, this is, and over here, this policy. And I went with who I thought was aligning more with the Bible. Neither one, actually, because I'm like, well, I really don't want to vote for either one, honestly. But then I had a friend say, well, you not voting for either one is almost like agreeing to the other one. So if the other one wins, then it's kind of like, oh, because you didn't have a voice. And I'm like, okay, this is complicated, because I don't feel like we were given the best choices. So here we are, okay, and not happy with my choice at all. Not happy with my choice at the end of the day. But life goes on, right? All I can do is pray, because I know who we have in office is not God. That's not God. That's not who I serve, right? So I know that God, with all things, God can fix all things. With God, all things are possible. And so when I see different things in the news, and I do videos on different talking points and we do reactions, yeah, I might mention some things that I hear that's coming out of our leaders for our country in the Oval Office. They're, what's coming out of their mouth. Some of the things might be disturbing. Some of the things might even affect my job. But, I have to pray, because at the end of the day, they're not God. They're there, yes. And some things affects us. So that's why I try to pay attention to that. But it's crazy how some people get so offended by who your choices were. Not even that, but if you try to recant your choices, I know I've done that. I'm like, I picked this person, but I don't think that was a good choice at all, because this person went in there and started tearing up the place. So with that being said, when I start to have talking points and I start to do my videos, I start to see how people act and how they move. And I'm seeing it on my social media. I'm seeing deletions, and I just laugh and I say, God, thank you. Thank you, because that person was a lesson. And I just want to say that to those people out there who are dealing with that, because I've had a few family members and friends that told me that they've had people who recently deleted them off of social media, and just crazy stuff going on. And when I look at stuff like that and I say, wow, it's almost like a cult. Listen, have your beliefs, go with who you thought, but to act like that, you're acting like you're in a cult. It's like, okay, if you're not picking who I want, or if you're not saying what I want you to say, then it's almost like you feel like it's a personal attack to you. I know I've had that before years ago, and it's crazy. With that whole situation with George Floyd, I was asked by friends, hey, what was my feelings on that? And I said, give me a day, because I just watched the video and it bothered my spirit. I have to just give me a day. And I remember the next day, I wrote them out, just basically my feelings, because they called me crying, hey, this was sad. But when I gave my opinion toward the whole thing, it wasn't received. It was like, okay, I shouldn't have a voice, being that I am a Black woman. Okay. And when I expressed how that made me feel, someone calling for their mother, calling out, I expressed how it made me feel, and I offended them because of how much it hurt me. So that was eye-opening to me. And I don't think even after that, with all that going on, and with the election stuff that was happening back then, and me having opinions when we had conversations, because you should be able to sit down with your friends and have conversations about different things, but just having conversations and them giving their opinions, as soon as I opened my mouth, triggered. It was like they were tricked. How dare she? I can't believe that's your views. You can believe your views matter. If your friends have their views, that's fine. Nobody should be calling themselves your friends if they're asking for your opinion, and then when you open your mouth, they're telling you to hush up. That's a problem. So that was eye-opening to me. So just going forward past that, like I said, you believe in whoever, you vote for whoever you feel. But when you start deleting people and you start acting like that cult like mindset, because some of you are acting like you're worshiping these people, they are not Jesus Christ come down to earth. Sorry, they're not. Okay, at the end of the day, I serve a mighty God, and he's not in that White House. But regardless, I wanted to say this, okay, for the people that have situations where they've encountered people being triggered with their change. I wanted to say this. When you encounter people like that, you have to just sometimes just shake it off and just go, shake the dust off, just walk away from people like that, because they are not positive people. There are people watching and looking for things to go wrong. They rather see you struggle. They don't want to see you succeed. Okay. And for me, I'm not just a person that looks at other content creators and do reaction videos and come up with different discussions with Luke. Okay. As a Black woman in America, I have encountered different things. And I wanted to share a story with you guys because a lot of times, and I know we talk about the different things, DEI and all this stuff that's going on, and oh my goodness, diversity, and they're doing different things at workplaces, and oh my goodness, am I not going to be hired at jobs? And people start to have stress over different things that they're hearing. And I know some of the videos that I've done, people might, like I said, controversial things and discussions, but I want to say that I'm not just a Black woman in America. I am a woman who has experienced different things in my life on this earth that were questionable, things that just felt like total discrimination. And it actually was, because as I asked God to open my eyes, I started to see things for what they were. Because I'm the type of person where I'll sit there and make excuses for people's behaviors. I'll give grace to someone. They could have done something ignorant, and I'll be like, I don't know, maybe that's how that person was raised. Or maybe they didn't mean to say that. Or maybe they didn't mean to let me go from that job, even though I was more qualified. But I'm going to give you a story, because with things that are going on in the news and they're talking about who's qualified, who's not qualified. And I'm going to tell you, I had a story that's similar to some of the things that's going on. And I know a lot of people have been losing their jobs. I'm hearing that some of the federal workers are getting their jobs back. I'm praying for that. But in the same breath, I know that a lot of them are going to be still out of work, coming from the president's mouth. So just want to say this, you know, when you have to do interviews of your qualifications for a job that you've been working at for years. And I just want to say to any of those people or anybody else who've ever experienced this, you're not alone in that, because I've experienced that. And so, like I said, I'm not just a content creator out here creating content based off of what some other podcast said. I've experienced real life stuff and I can actually speak on it. So I believe it was 2016 and 17, this job. Great job opportunity for me, because it was a job that I was hired at that it was kind of hard to get into the job, that position that I got hired for. So I remember applying for the job and I had no expectations of getting it. No, I didn't walk in faith like, okay. And I should have at the time. I should have been walking in there with my head up like, hey, I got this. But again, it was one of those jobs where just reading the reviews before I even had my interview, where people were saying, hey, it's really hard to get in here. So I didn't have any expectations. When I did get a call back, I was just happy to get a call for an interview, right? So based off of my past, I had quality control under my belt. So I've done that for over, I believe it was 11 years. So that's what they liked about my resume at the time. So in 2016, when I got a call after applying to this job, I was happy because I was like, wow, at least they looked at my resume and they asked me to do an interview. So went to the interview, again, not expecting anything. Hey, but I went there and answered the questions, and I was told by my manager, who she was actually the woman who did my interview with another, I believe, a HR person, and I believe it was the owner of the company. They were in the interview, so they were saying how much they liked my resume and how much experience I've had, all the years I've had. So I'm like, great. They had questions for me, and I started shining during the interview with the questions, and needless to say, I ended up getting that position. I got a call back. I believe it was it the same day? I think I left, and I don't even think it was the next day. I believe maybe an hour or two went by and my phone rang and I was offered that position. I accepted it and I walked into my blessing, right? So working there, okay, I learned the craft. I had a great trainer who showed me the ropes of everything. And I started to thrive there at that job. And I loved it. It was close to my house. You couldn't ask for anything better. Wow, to get up, get ready for work, and you drive up the street and you're at work. I'm like, wow, this is great. I love it, everything about it. I started to get a lot of praise from my boss. She would give me praise because she was getting feedback from other departments of how great I was doing. I was finding issues on lines and stopping issues from, leaving the building where customers would have had problems if it would have left the building. So yeah, I was doing the darn thing according to my boss. And yes, I was helping people, training people, doing all kinds of stuff. So wow, you would not have told me in that time that I was there that what eventually happened was going to happen. So fast forward, I'm going to call these two people because it's not their fault and I'm not going to bring their name up in the story because again, that was the job that did this and it had nothing to do with these two. I'm going to call them guy 1 and guy 2, right? So they're two men. Okay, keep that in mind. They were white men who got hired under me. So I was there for a while and I remember guy 1 was hired, right? And I remember my boss coming into my lab, my little QC lab, my quality control lab, and she says, "Hey, I have someone who got hired. We're going to branch out with different quality control. We're going to build up our team." I'm like, "Okay, great. Probably going to have another person I'm interviewing, trying to at least have 3 people during the shift that I was working." I was like, "Great, okay, no problem." So, with that being said, guy 1, when he came in, I showed him the ropes. I taught him everything from start to finish on how to check the lines, what material to test. We had a whole bunch of stuff to do, the measurements, different things. Taught him all the ropes of the job. Okay, keep that in mind. We became cool. We became friends. We were coworkers. We worked side by side every day. There was different projects that we had to do. Checking the lines, we did that separately. He might have checked one side of the building, I checked the other. But then when we did material checks, we did them together. We did different specs, different things that we had to do, inputs. We had to reach out to my boss if we found issues. So we were definitely working great together. So with that being said, I know that jobs don't like people to discuss their salary, right? So when I walked into the blessing, when I walked into this job, I thought, great, what they offered me was awesome. Sure, I'll take it. So I'm thinking, okay, this is how much I make. I don't know what the conversation was, but I remember one day, guy 1 said something. He said something, I don't know what happened. One of the things that we needed, we ordered something, it didn't come in. And he's like, oh, they act like they're paying me such and such. He was like, the amount they're paying me, it is what it is. The material's not here. At least my check's still going to be the same. But he voiced the amount he made an hour. And it was nothing close to what I was making. And mind you, I thought what I was making was great. It was a promotion from the job I had previously. So it was a big promotion. So, but when I heard how much he made and I was there first and he was hired after me and I trained him and everything and he came in the door. So, and he was like, yeah, he said, right. He said, we're making that much. So it doesn't matter if it comes in today or tomorrow, we're still going to be And I said, it's not what I make. Now I could have just hushed, but at the time, yes, we were cool. So he frowned because again, here's a woman he's seen train him that was knowledgeable about the job. And I said, "You're kidding though, right? You didn't come in making that amount." And he said, "Yeah, that's how much I make." And I was like, "That's not how much I make." And we were baffled about that because it didn't make any sense that I was there already training them, had seniority. Nope, he was making way more than me. But keep that in mind. So I never bought it up. It was what it was at the time. Listen, I was not happy about it, but I still did my job and held my head up and smiled, and I kept it to myself, aside from him knowing that I knew. So I would say maybe a week or two later, guy number two, another white man, was hired, and I trained him. Okay, I trained him as well, from showing him everything, and eventually found out this person was making more than me. He also came in making more than me, and that's crazy, but that happened. Now with guy two, guy one, I was the closest. So where I lived at, I was close to the job. I worked probably a good 15 minutes from my house. That's where the job was at the time. So guy one in his town, not too bad. He had maybe like a 30-minute drive to the job every day. But when guy two was hired, he lived a good possibly hour away from the job. And what was going on with him, when he would come in late, there would be days he'd call out. Mind you, he was a new hire. He was calling out, he was late, and my boss would just be like, "Oh, guy two's not coming in today, so it's only you two, just cover the floors." And okay, so that happened. Still did the darn thing, kept my head up high. That's what was going on, knowing this in the back of my mind. But I remember one day, I remember it was a Friday. So didn't work weekends at this job. So I'm excited for the weekend. I'm putting my Craftsman cart away back in my QC room after my inspections. And I see my boss. She walks in and she comes in my lab with a HR woman, right? And they're like, "Hey, Shantae, how was your day?" Whatever. Just sweet talk. Like, I didn't think anything of it. Just thought maybe they had a question about something. They waited till guy one was out of the office, right? He left. He's like, "Oh, have a great weekend." I'm like, "Same to you." And then they came in. I don't know if they were out of the office and they seen that he left first, and guy number two, and I'm putting my stuff, and I was going to be the last one to leave, but they came, "Hey, can you come back in there?" And they're like, "You did nothing wrong." I'm like, "What are these ladies talking about? I did nothing wrong." They're like, "You did absolutely nothing wrong, and I don't want you to feel like you did." And I'm like, "Okay." And they started to tell me, the HR woman said, "Normally this job doesn't do layoffs, but you did nothing wrong. And right now we have to downsize. So we're going to have to let you go." And I said nothing, because I was shocked. In that moment, I was shocked because I already knew that guy number one and two came in making more than me. I was there longer. I've gotten so much praise from different departments. Not only that, but my boss herself, she was like, "You're doing great. You're finding issues on the line." I've had a major issue I found that saved them a customer from getting some crappy things, okay, the product that we were selling. So I was doing what I was hired to do. But for them to come in there on a Friday, let me work the whole day, and was like, "Yeah, so we're gonna have to let you go. Nothing you did. We're just downsizing. So you're gonna pick the person who trained both guy one and guy two, and you're gonna let her go." I was the only Black person in the quality control department, the only woman, okay? And at the time I said, this just doesn't make any sense. And I'm like, so why are you guys doing this? I said, and I did say this to them. I said, but I trained both of these men. I've trained them. You valued my expertise to my knowledge of the job to train these guys. And then you're letting me go. So many red flags were just so many things, but I was so hurt. I just wanted to go. I wanted to leave. I didn't want them to see me cry because I was sad. They were like, oh, we're going to have to walk you to the locker room. And you're walking. They're telling me, hey, there's nothing you did. I know it's protocol because somebody could lash out on their way out because they could be mad. But they told me, hey, we don't normally lay people off, but you did nothing wrong. So you can go collect unemployment. It's going to be a layoff. You're not getting terminated. It's just we have to downsize. I felt like I was being terminated. It didn't feel like a layoff. It wasn't, hey, like the job's closing and we can't afford to fund this building anymore. It was actually a layoff, which sucked. I was the only person to get laid off. The two men that I trained still had their job. So the first thing I did, they walked me to the locker room, and I felt like in that moment, and I don't care what anybody says, I felt like the Black woman on the job. All that I've done, all that I did for that company, all the compliments just went out the door because you valued my expertise with all the quality control that I did there. I trained guy 1, which was a white man, guy 2, which was a white man. They came in making way more than me. And then you tell me that you have to let me go. So for the people out here who think that people just make up things. Oh, you guys just need to get over things. You guys just need to leave things alone. You guys bring up stuff, and it's not that people are bringing up anything. It's that we experience real life stuff. And I have a voice, and I know what was done to me was not right. Okay. I did text guy number 1 when I got in my car that day when I got laid off. And I let him know, hey, I know you just told me to have a great weekend, but when you left out of the quality control room, they let me go. They laid me off. He said, what do you mean they laid you off? You trained me and guy number 2. I said, I know. I said, well, that tells you why you came in making more than me. I said, that just shows you right there. So I'm just telling this story to say, listen, things happen to people. People are not just out here mad and huffing and puffing about things. We experience real life stuff. So when you hear the things out there about, hey, what can happen to my job and jobs can, may not hire me. People experience real life stuff that we can speak on. Me, like I said, as a Black woman in America, this is not the only story that I have where something has happened like that. The next story I'll share, it'll be where people were triggered, and it wasn't even. It had nothing to do with my color because I was the same color as the people on this job, but they were triggered because I wanted to do the right thing. And so they had to get me out of there because I wasn't a part of that in crowd that wanted to do the wrong thing at work. But what I'm saying to you is people get triggered when you change. People get triggered when you want to better yourself. Those are the people, it should be eye-opening. Stay away from those people. Some people want to see you get to the good side of life. They don't want to see your change. They want you to say, hey, they want you to show you, remember when you used to be like that? Who does she think she is? Because she was like this before. Stay away from those people. Those people clearly don't love their self, and they're clearly not trying to change their self. Just because you're trying to walk into greatness, do it with a smile. Pray to God to show you who the people that are truly for you are and walk into that blessing. And some of those people, like I said, are a lesson, but keep the ones that really are in your corner close. And it's okay to get deleted by people. I get deleted all the time now. And you know what? What I say to those people, thank you. And I look up to God and say, thank you for showing me who my lessons were. and I appreciate my blessings. Yes, that job, the story I just told you, that was sad, but you know what? I'm glad that was an eye opener, because I walked into an even bigger blessing after that. That right there, it wasn't the blessing I thought it was at the time it was, but it was a lesson for me, but it helped me to step into a bigger blessing. So I just wanted to share that with you. And as always at Luke-N-SHAE'S place, okay, your mental health is important. A positive mentality is a destined reality. I hope this added value to those out here who are seeing different things, and you're seeing people change in your life, and you're seeing people not talk to you. It's okay. It's okay to have your own opinions. It's okay not to go with that crowd. Be yourself, love yourself, start to come into truths, learn about different things, because there's so much things that's going on before our eyes. And stay prayed up at the end of the day. And again, for those families who had some tragedies, we had some fatalities here in Georgia. Again, my 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 biggest sympathy to you guys, and I'm praying for all of your families, and also for, again, the flight that went down in North Carolina. For those families, I'm praying for you as well. And again, a positive mentality is a destined reality. Stay positive, wear your smile, and until next time, stay blessed and take care.